3.
Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Directors meeting and call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled board meeting for Saturday, May the 9th. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a flag? We go?
We have a flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So again, we're having a virtual meeting. We have the directors at home, and we have the general manager and a couple of the staff, I believe, in the office today. And so, Robin, can you call the roll?
Sure. Bruce Beshears.
Present.
Diane Wiley-Bowers.
Present.
Edith Lynn.
Present.
Sue Story.
Present.
Ted Long.
Present.
Kim Darnell.
Present.
Present. All present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Our first item is member comments, and in our new virtual world, we're asking members to send their comments to the general manager for submission. So, General Manager Murphy, do we have any member comments today?
I actually have one. And for those of you listening, hearing me for the first time, this is my current real voice. I'm not trying to do impressions of anybody. So I just got to throw that out there. I have an email from Keith Donaldson. He sent it about a week ago, but I confirmed that he was okay reading it during the meeting. And so I'll just read what he wrote.
Okay.
It's on the subject of the golf course. He said, "Thank you very much for keeping the greenskeepers on the course. As a resident here in Hidden Valley, I'm very appreciative of your support to the golf course and to the entire golf staff. I know these are difficult times, but this is the time for us to model in what we believe with respect to the people who run and support Hidden Valley. This community has gone through so many difficulties and challenges in the last 6 years. I'd like to give kudos to all our community here in Hidden Valley and to all the support staff that makes it a great place to live. Sincerely, Keith Donaldson." So, that's nice to hear some positive words.
Yes, okay. Well, thank you for that, and thanks, Mr. Donaldson, for his nice words. Move on with the agenda. The first item is the approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes for the agenda? Okay, not hearing any. We'll go ahead and proceed. Next item is the report, starting with the President's report. And I just have a brief report with a few pictures today I wanted to share.
Give me a second, I'm getting it up.
Okay, I'm pausing. There we go, that looks familiar.
That should be it. Should be ready to go.
Okay, so yep, from my home to your home again. And next slide, I just wanted to touch on, we are in an uncertain time. It's hard for everyone. There's a lot of new information. We're trying to find out what this, our new situation is going to be. That's the picture with the balancing. Besides loving that picture, that's what it feels like to be a director these days, trying to balance all the different things that we have to balance. But I think the bottom line, I think hopefully everyone has something to be thankful for, and we need to be patient with one another, continue to be patient. We need to be thankful for the things that we do have. Most of us are in good situations compared to a lot of other people. It's been tough following, being in the stay in place and following the guidelines, but I think people generally have been doing a good job. The board has voted a couple times that we want to support the guidelines and follow the guidelines every way that we can. Although I know the last weekend around my neighborhood anyway, there were a couple of parties with maybe 10 to a dozen people. So it seems like people are beginning to slip a little bit. So I just ask everybody to do the best they can, and let's follow the guidelines and let's get through it together. So it is a time of uncertainty, and I think if we acknowledge that and do the best we can going forward. So enough about that. Next slide. A lot going on right now as you're looking around and driving around the association for your daily trip to the mailbox or to the market. You're going to be seeing, if you haven't already, a lot of association projects underway or getting underway. And these are things that the board's voted for in the last couple months to proceed with, and now the staff is going ahead and implementing them. A big one is on the left, the map. This is a map of last year's road work. We have American Asphalt coming back and already setting up their signs on the streets that they're going to be doing. Last year we were able to slurry seal 7 miles of our roads and restripe, I believe it was 17 miles. So we're going to do more slurry sealing again this year on different parts of the road. We're going to continue to stripe the roads. This year in the striping, we're going to be putting some reflector beads in the key spots. So at night and in the rain, we'll be able to see our lines much better. And all that is part of a 5-year, we're in the second year of a 5-year projects basically to maintain our roads. The middle picture is the aquatic growth in our lake, and I believe it was next Tuesday. We're having our vendor come and spray the lakes to make them clean again for us and usable. So it's kind of ironic, right? When the lake opens up, we're going to have to close it for a day, but the end result is going to be a much cleaner, more enjoyable lake. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is A+ trees are coming. You've probably seen them already. I understand they've been working around the administrative office already. And this is the second year of a 5-year plan with them, roughly about $300,000 a year to come and get our dying and dead tree and our trouble trees out of the way so that we can have healthy trees in all our common areas and reduce the potential for fire from those trees. So all those things are going to be happening in the next week. You'll see them out there. Next slide. Hey, everybody, you need something to look forward to. We're starting to see some of the lifting. This is the month that our pool is scheduled to open in a couple weeks, so hopefully the guidelines and all will be lightened enough that we'll be able to use our pool. I know we'll do whatever we can to conform with whatever guidelines we need to get the pool open. But just a reminder, that's a couple weeks away, and hopefully as the weather gets hotter, we'll be able to get back in the pool. So there are things to look forward to. Next slide. In regards to our staff, as our general manager mentioned, he's had a little medical work this week and is recovering, so it's good to see him very dapper back on the job there. I think that picture was taken yesterday or the day before. We're happy to see him back. And then the other thing that we'll be talking about a little bit later as different people give their reports is that the association was able to secure PPP, and that's brought us the opportunity to bring back staff and provide extra funds to our budget, and that was all thanks to our fast thinking and our fast acting staff. So all the things I've been mentioning, the board provided direction to go, but it's really the hard work of the staff to implement all these things and bring them into reality. So we're grateful for that, and you'll be hearing more about that later in the presentation. And then finally, again, everybody please be patient. I think better days are ahead. We're going to have better roads. We're going to have a cleaner lake. We're going to have healthier trees and a safer community. We're going to have our employees back on the job, which is good in itself, but also able to provide additional services for our members. And hopefully very soon we'll be able to open up the other things that we've closed down. So that's my report, and I just wanted to end with the acknowledgement that today roughly the 1-year anniversary from when the board started video recording the board meetings and making those available to the members. I believe it started at the end of April last year. This board voted to do that, and we're going to continue to do that. So other than having to readjust a little for virtual meetings, I think that's been working well. So that's the end of my report. Next up, we have a treasurer's report, and we have a brand new treasurer, so I'm not sure what she has to report, but Treasurer Story, do you have anything to report today?
I don't really have any financials. I will next meeting, but you've already touched on it. We received notification of the PPP funding, and we should be funded on May the 11th with that, and we are in contact with our employees to get them back to work. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for that. Next is the Secretary's report, and we have a summary of the executive session minutes of April 23rd. And with our changeover, who is going to give that report?
I thought I'd read my minutes.
Okay, since you were the Secretary for this meeting, sounds good.
Okay. So it's a summary of executive sessions, April 23rd, 2020. The meeting was held remotely using Microsoft Teams. The meeting was called to order at 4:15 p.m. Present were Directors Beshears, Bowers, Darnell, Lent, Long, and Story. The executive session draft minutes for April the 9th, 2020 were approved. The board discussed 5-member issues. Under formation of contract prior to the open session, the board discussed 2 board action requests. Under personnel issues, the board discussed 3 issues. And under legal issues, the board discussed 4. The meeting was then adjourned at 6:06 p.m. and the next meeting was today on the 9th.
Okay, thank you for that summary, and thank you for your great service as Secretary. And I guess at our next meeting, and then we'll be hearing from our new Secretary, Edith Lentz. So, okay, thank you for that. Next is a staff report. General Manager Murphy, you're on.
I am on. Okay, so some people say I sound like this guy. Make it off you can't refuse. Or I might be this guy, depending on the time of day. If you catch me early, I have a particular set of skills. If you hurt my family, I will find you, and I will take care of you. Third option, I don't sound like this guy, but I've been told I look a lot like him. So,
I just can't, I don't see it.
No way.
I got the craggy face, kind of got the craggy face going. I'm going to stick, I think, with the Godfather. So, got a lot of things to talk about. As been already touched on a little bit, the board approved the application for the funding from the Small Business Association for the PPP loan Paycheck Protection Program. We're bringing many staff members back to work. They may not necessarily all be doing the jobs they were doing before, but the way this program works, it's designed to help stimulate the economy, and that's to get folks back to work. So you're going to start seeing things. We're going to be expanding the hours or increasing the service at the restaurant. So we're talking about lunch and dinners now, probably beginning Tuesday. Chef Matt's working on that. So some of the staff will be there. Some of the staff will be helping getting the pool ready to open. Obviously, the lake is open today. That information was provided late last night. I literally just a few minutes ago got information that the lake is also open for swimming. So we had no knowledge of that until about a half an hour ago. So I should hear a rousing set of applause here pretty soon for that. The golf course limitations, restrictions have been modified. The Lake County Public Health Officer has told us that he intends to mirror what the state is doing. So when I look on the state website, the state only restriction on the state is that only 1 person per golf cart. So they are allowing the rental of golf carts again starting today. They are allowing foursomes. It's not limited to 2. That's again part of the state for the county public health officer following the state guidelines. So we are starting, and we intend to be fully compliant with whatever the county direction is. As was pointed out, Greenview will be expanding its hours beginning early next week. So far, just doing open for dinners to curbside takeout. Last night, I had a conversation with Chef Matt, and he said we exceeded $2,000 in sales just for last night only, which is back before when he first started. That was a good night or a good day, not just night, but a good day. It was $2,500, and he's doing that with just dinner. So we expect some good things going forward. The pool season, we are expected, well, we cannot actually request an inspection of our pool from the county until the 17th, which is the Sunday, which makes no sense. But anyway, basically another week, we'll be able to request an inspection. The goal all along has been to have the pool open by Memorial Day weekend, and that looks like it's probably going to happen. So all those things are looking good. As we pointed out before, this is our, I think, fourth virtual meeting. We've got a couple of committee meetings in under the virtual scene, and are working to expand that to other committees as well. I don't know. Oh, here's a good one. I literally just late yesterday afternoon got the encroachment permit signed by Caltrans to allow us to move the sludge, the slurry material under the highway through Caltrans right away to help us keep the cost of the dredging project down. So that's good news. Also, the CSD this last week formally requested the state to lift the moratorium. I saw that in an email they sent me, attachment to their the CSD's website has a specific page associated with moratorium, and a copy of that letter is available there. It's already been discussed. Weed abatement and other fire prevention stuff is well underway. Jose and RGW will be on scene beginning Monday. Looks like weather should permit that. A+ has already begun working. I've seen some comments on social media about Eagle Rock area and the top, where the gate is at the top, and that is not and has never intended to be an emergency exit. There is no clear path. There's a lake or a large pond in parts of it. The best path in an emergency is down Eagle Rock and either go out the gate that would be open in an emergency or out through the normal gate. A+, one of the areas they focused on, if you heard what went on last meeting when the board approved the contract, A+ is focused on that corridor from the top of Eagle Rock to help provide better fire mitigation and make it a clearer path in an emergency. We also recently had conversation with one of the chiefs with Caltrans. His name escapes me at the moment. So we're collaborating with him, and we'll take some of his advice and work on getting that implemented as well. Shipping services are moving forward, and I'm sorry I didn't have that information right in front of me. Drainage work and improvements is continuing. We're getting some ruling or doing an additional investigation, trying to determine kind of where the line is drawn for the private property owner versus the Hidden Valley versus the CSD and versus the county. So we're working on that. And as I pointed out, with the Caltrans approval, we're closer than we've ever been to getting the lake dredged. Lastly, on the Hartman Complex project, we've done the preliminary investigation for historical purposes as well as cultural purposes, and everything points to a green light in that respect. We should have a draft of that report sometime in the next 2 weeks. And I think that's all I have for now.
Okay, that's quite a bit. Thank you very much. Any questions from the directors of the general manager?
You said something about the moratorium and I didn't quite catch that, Randy.
So the CSB has formally requested to lift the moratorium from the state. So they sent a letter that basically said, hey, we did everything we were supposed to do. Take it away, make it go away. We don't have a response yet. They literally just sent the letter earlier this week. But
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And Randy, do you have any numbers on the chipping?
Let me see what I can
No,
find.
I'm
real
going to
quick
ask
here.
that. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, and it's my bad because I have it. I just didn't
It's okay.
have it. I didn't have it in front of me. I know Elizabeth sent it to me, and I can't find it. I'll look for it. If I find it, I'll announce it in a minute.
It's okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, good. Any other questions? We'll go ahead and move on. The next item is the consent agenda. And we have the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 23rd, and we have a resolution to authorize liens. So,
Bless you.
do I hear a motion for the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay. And Robin, then, can you roll?
Diane Wiley Bowers,
Yes.
Edith Flynn,
Yes.
Sue Story,
Yes.
Ted Long,
Yes.
Kim Darnell,
Yes.
Bruce Bashir.
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Okay, so thank you. The consent agenda is approved. The next item is committee and liaison reports. We don't have any committee minutes in our packet, and our committees have generally been dormant for the last month or so, but does anyone have any comments? Any of the directors have a comment about their assigned committees that they'd like to make?
I have a comment about EC. They are conducting business as usual, and it's my understanding that they will be meeting remotely in their next meeting, which is May 15th.
Okay, good that they're continuing on. And along those lines, General Manager Murphy, isn't the intent to have all the next committee meetings virtually now that we've?
Yeah, that was the plan. We were trying to set up the Dune Lake Committee just a few days ago. Unfortunately, some health issues got in the way and so we were unable to do that, but we will do the next one in June for sure. We're working on getting the safety and security meeting going, but a couple of other things, and that's next week. That still may happen, but yeah, that's the goal, is to get every committee meeting on virtual.
Okay, nope, sounds good. I think we want to work toward that. So that's good. Next, committee appointments. As I say, we have no new committee appointments. Old business, there's no old business. And on the new business, we have a couple of Rs to consider. The first is to adopt a resolution 2020-12 for a member communication policy.
So, I guess you're handing the baton to the Godfather again. So we have a lot of communication among ourselves, between the board, and the members, between the members and the staff, and it became apparent early on in my tenure that we needed some kind of a guideline. So I worked with legal to come up with this draft of a resolution that explains the purpose of the policy, and to clarify that the board has the right an authority to delegate communication to specific either board members or staff, in most cases being me, the GM, to speak for them. There was a lot of back and forth with a couple members over the last few months about, that. And so this policy kind of developed from that specific situation. So I don't know if you want to read or have me read anything here, but the information is available and we will put it on our website soon.
Okay, and without reading the whole document, a few of the key points though are that members should not contact our vendors directly.
Right.
That emails that are sent to the board will be responded to by the board president, but they can be referred to the general manager and the staff when appropriate. So kind of give guidance how the board will deal with member emails. And then I think one of the bigger parts is the last item that brings the directors in line with what the committee members are expected to do, that directors shall not opposition to board policies, decisions while representing him or herself as a board director. To avoid any confusion in this area, directors should refrain from commenting or posting on topics related to the association and social media. So by adopting this, the directors would be agreeing to basically go on a social media diet and not make social media comments related to the association, which is currently a requirement of committee members. So that will bring that in alignment. So those are what I saw, at least, as the three main points, and that answer some of the questions that we've had in the past on it. So, okay, do I hear a motion on this item?
I move that we adopt Resolution 2020-12, Member Communication Policy.
Okay. Someone
I'll
like the second?
that. I'll second it.
Okay, Director Lentz, thank you. Okay, so let's go around for comments on the policy, starting with Director Long.
No comments.
Okay, Director Story.
Okay, I just want to clarify one thing. So I understand that Randy also gets the emails. So Randy can't respond when it is for just the general running of the association, that you have to approve all of the emails? Or is Randy going to be doing what he's been continually doing?
Well, I would say that if it's obvious, well, if it's directly to him, he can respond. If it's to the board, but it's an obvious operations question, he could respond. Okay. Normally, if I were responding as president, I would just do that. I would say that it's a good question that you have. It's clearly operational, and I'm referring it to our general manager. Okay. But he's been really good at responding, so he could even respond before I get a chance to say that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going around for comments. So Director Darnell.
I have no comment.
Okay, Director Wiley Bowers.
Not sure how that works with some of the situations coming up in terms of what a director can say and not say.
I'm talking about the recall?
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's a good point. We'll talk about that in a minute, I guess. That should during the time of an election, if a director is involved in that election, either as being recalled or running for their same office, should they be able to go on social media?
Yes.
So maybe that's an exception that we want to put in there, or a little bit of additional language.
Yes. I would agree to that. I would absolutely.
With a
'cause I'm-
timeline.
Okay. Okay, good comments. Director Lentz?
No, I thought it was already in place. I didn't realize we didn't already have them like members of committees have them. I'm all for it.
Okay. And yeah, my comments is that other than that one, I think that is an issue that we do need to be, to clarify and put something in there that in that special circumstance that director can be on social media related to that recall or to that election.
Yeah.
So that's one reason maybe to not approve it today and come back with another one. The other question to consider a little bit is that when our attorney first proposed this, he proposed it as a rule, that we do it as a rule, with the idea that then we can do penalties for not following the rules. Like if a member contacts a vendor directly, what they're not supposed to do, that we could impose some kind of penalty or fine or something. If we do it as a rule, we need to post it in the views, and we need to have member comment and then approve it later, which is a little bit longer process. And I don't know, I'm not really that concerned about making penalties for it as much as just explaining, here's the flow of how request and member communications is going to go between the directors and the GM and the staff and the members, so that we're all agreeing to it, and that it's more in compliance with what we're asking of our committee members as well. Hopefully we don't need to have big penalties or something like that to make it effective.
Yes, I would agree with what you're saying about that too.
Okay, so I guess with that, can we have a motion to approve it as written today? And so, Robin, you want to go ahead and call the roll?
Diane Wiley Bowers,
Do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes, we have a motion to approve the communication policy as it's currently presented to us without an exception for that one situation we talked about. So I guess if you're happy with the way it's written, you would vote. If you'd rather have it rewritten with that exception, then you would probably vote no.
Okay, so she just asked Diane. No, I would like it rewritten to some extent, yes. With what we just discussed, and also perhaps about whether it's a rule or not, and penalties would be involved.
Okay, so you just said yes and no, but I believe your vote was no on this motion.
Yeah, no, my vote is no. I was just giving the reasons for it.
Okay.
Hey, Diane. Diane, what does the magic 8-ball say?
I don't know.
Exactly.
No. Well,
Okay.
You get the idea of what I was trying to say.
Back to order. So we're doing the roll call vote now. We have, one no so far.
Edith Lynn,
No.
Sue Story,
No.
Ted Long,
No.
Kim Darnell,
No.
Bruce Bashir.
No.
The motion is
No.
not approved.
Not approved. That was a good point out that we have one more thing or a little more work that we need to do. So we'll do that work and we'll bring it back for our next meeting, and hopefully we'll have everything and get it approved.
Hey, Bruce,
think
real
that's-
quick. I want to ask for clarification. Does the board wish for us to make this a rule versus a
No.
policy?
No.
Because it will change some of the wording. What's the staff direction on that?
Okay, well, let's do another roll and say rule or policy, I guess.
Okay, want me to start, Bruce?
Yeah, unless people want to discuss, is there any questions about the difference between a rule and a policy?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So just real briefly, if it's a rule, it takes a couple extra steps to get it effective for member review and all, but then we could add penalties. So we could say, if a member violates this and calls a vendor directly to break a rule, that's a Class B fine, and it's a $50 fine or whatever. Where if we do it as a policy, we can't do a penalty. It's more guidelines on how we operate on a day-to-day basis. But if someone doesn't follow the rules, we can't charge them a fine or whatever. So I think that would be, Randy, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that's the basics of it. Rules are more enforceable. So obviously, if somebody violated the rule, somebody keeps calling the attorney, for instance, and running up a bill, we could turn around and fine them for that. I don't think it's that big of an issue. Personally, I think a policy is fine. But another option would be to bring it back as a policy, and if it becomes a big deal, we can tweak it and make it a rule at that time.
Okay, so let's try it maybe a different way. So is there any director that has a concern or an objection to proceeding with this as a policy?
No objection.
No objection.
No.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm not hearing anybody speak up, so we'll say there's no objection, and let's continue. We'll polish it up as a policy and bring it back. Okay, the next item, number 7B, is a bar to change the executive session start time of our meetings.
Okay, so historically, the executive session, when we meet on Thursdays, has been 4 o'clock. That's what was published when we adopted the schedule for the current calendar year. Back in, I believe, December, might have been November. But because it's published, a lot of information out there, it's become necessary to change it to 4:15 to accommodate one of the director's schedules. And staff has no problem with that. And we just need to make it official through a board adoption of this time change. And then we will modify the calendars and things to reflect the updated time.
Okay, nope, that sounds good. Really, this is almost could have gone on our consent calendar if I would have thought about it ahead of time.
Right.
But do I hear, to make this an official change, do I hear a motion?
I move that
I'll
we
make
approve the changes to executive session start time from 4 p.m. to 4:15 p.m.
I second that,
John.
Diane.
Is now exiting.
Oh, bye, John.
John.
Okay. Okay, let's do a quick vote. Robin, you want to call the roll?
Sure. Diane Wiley Bowers,
Yes.
Edith Lynn,
Yes.
Sue Story,
Yes.
Ted Long,
Yes.
Kim Darnell,
Yes.
Bruce Bashir.
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Okay, so now our Thursday executive sessions will be starting at 4:15. Okay. Next item is Hartman project milestone and schedule. We've had the Building Oversight and Advisory Committee had a meeting. When was it? About a week or so ago, I guess. And
Yeah.
they were updated on the current plans for the Hartman project. And there's a little bit of history. I think last fall or so, the board
Is now joining.
decided to go ahead with the Williams patent and to basically finish up the drawings that they had. I think the drawings were 90% complete. And rather than reinvent the wheel, we asked, could they just finish up what we have? We've already invested several hundred thousands of dollars working with them. And we asked that they finalize it. In the process of finalizing it, Chef Matt to us and said, you know, I haven't been that involved, and I know a guy that's a kitchen expert, a design expert, and can him and I possibly have a couple weeks to look at the design and make a few suggestions. So having come this far, we didn't want to lose momentum, but we didn't want to miss an opportunity to possibly do a few small changes that would make the building much more useful and more efficient. So we said, yes, Matt, go ahead. And then he's been working on that. His consultant was Eric Reese, I believe his name was. He helped work on it, made some suggestions. So over the last, the couple weeks turned into a couple months. But at the last board advisory meeting, we saw the result of that. And Randy, can you go to that? The floor plan one. It'll be hard to see all the details, but this is basically, hopefully most of the directors were able to call in to the last board advisory meeting and were able to see and hear the explanations of the floor plan and the changes that have been made. Really, the basic square footage is just about the same. There was a little bit of a design change in the bar. The actual bar itself was reoriented to a different wall. There were a few changes with the hallway into the other dining rooms. There had been concern in the past about being in awkward places and a lot of traffic in the hallways. So a solution was come up with where into the other dining rooms, most of the activity can go directly from the kitchen into the dining rooms and create a much better workflow. So those were two of the outside type changes. The other change was in the kitchen itself. Matt worked closely with the architects and the kitchen consultants and came up with a new layout. I guess a few changes. Rather than going right to left, it's oriented up and down, so it was changed a little. And where a lot of the equipment could go also was updated and changed. Randy, are you doing something with the drawing? I'm getting all kinds of flashing on my...
Yeah, no, I don't know. We've had some internet problems here this morning, so it's flashing on my screen too.
Okay.
It's having a little seizure, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that one seems fine. So nothing really has really changed on that one. I think we moved the trash bins away from the creek a little bit, but really the overall site plan is very similar to the original. It was more on the actual layout of the kitchen equipment and inside the kitchen and the workflow and all that. So the architects now are finalizing this drawing. This is basically what I think is our final floor plan for the restaurant and the pro shop there. So being a milestone for this project, I wanted to bring it to the board and have the board acknowledge it and confirm that they want to move ahead with that. And the second is the for a proposal from general contractors. And as I say, our original plan, the board already approved the document itself, the request for proposal, and they approved a tentative schedule for the process. But because of the extra time that it's taken to do some of these adjustments and get to the point we're at, we've lost that schedule. And actually in that original schedule, bring the contractor proposals to the board today for final review and approval of one. So obviously we're off schedule. So the architects regrouped and came up with the proposed schedule that's on the screen right now. And the key dates to me in this are the start and the end dates. So they're proposing, there's a little bit of pre-work to be done, but they're proposing that we issue the request for proposals on June the 9th, figuring all the plans and everything in the packet would be ready by then. So June the 9th, we would start contacting our list of contractors and making our announcement that the proposals are open. Then to get to the end of it, on August the 6th is the tentative date they have for the building advisory to review the proposals and make a recommendation to the board on which proposal to accept. And then the board is scheduled to review the proposals and vote on one, approve it either on the August 8th meeting or the August 27th meeting. So again, this is another kind of milestone document, so I wanted to bring it to the board and have it also review and approve it. And in doing that, I had also thought, with the uncertainty of COVID and everything going on right now, that maybe we would want to approve the process, approve all the different steps, and maybe even approve the dates, but ask that they be moved back a month or two, with the idea that right now there's a lot of uncertainty. We're not quite sure how the business or the building industry is going to be affected in the future, and really current now with all the COVID stuff going on. We're not really sure yet about how the association's going to fare. Are our assessments going to continue to come in? Are we going to have monetary problems on our end? So it gave me a little bit of a pause, and I thought maybe we should not postpone it, but push it dates out a month or two, where we might have more information and we might have a better idea of the future and feel a little more comfortable. So that's what motivated me. That's how I presented the bar. Since the time that I wrote the bar, I've presented the information to the Building Advisory Oversight and Advisory Committee about the potential of delaying things a month or two. And I've received back a couple comments from them, including from their chair, asking that we don't do that, that we've already lost a little bit of time. We want to stay on schedule as much as we can. We don't want to lose any more time. And in my concern about, will the contractors know enough about their current situation and the future to be able to properly do a proposal, and will they do a proposal? The comments from the committee members were, well, we think they will, and we think they might be positive, but we should let them tell us that we should ask them for a proposal. And if they come back and say, you know, right now, we just don't feel like we can make a proposal, then we might go back and look at the timeline and see if we want to change it. But if we start calling the contractors and they say, yeah, I'll come down and let's start talking about it, maybe there won't be a need to delay, at least for the contractor side. On the other side of it, our side trying to figure out what's right, or what our best analysis of our situation as we can. The two committee members also pointed out that this schedule calls for the board to consider its role in August. So this would be 3 months from now when the board would be asked to make a decision if to sign the contract or not. And hopefully within 3 months, we would have much better information. We would be in a comfortable position. And even if we weren't, that we'd be under no obligation to sign any of these proposals, that we could accept the proposals, but say, you know, it's still a little too early for us, and either have them repropose or, you know, wait a little bit longer in our decision making before we commit to one. So I guess, long story short, having talked with a couple of the committee members and realizing that the date when the board would be asked to make a decision is still 3 months down the road, I'm not really concerned now about changing the date. I just mostly want to bring this before the board, have their acknowledgement of it and their blessing of it going forward. So that's my story. So you can't use that on this board. That's that. So having said that, would anyone like to make a motion? I guess
I'll do it, Bruce. Do you want me to?
No, please do. Sorry.
Okay, we'll move that the board approve the Hartman Building layout plans and general contractor request for the proposal RFP schedule as submitted by the Building Oversight and Advisory Committee.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Anyone want a second?
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
We got 3.
All right,
We want it.
We're getting people jumping in there now. Sounds good. Okay. Let's go around for comments on where we're at. Director Long, any comments?
I just think we should continue at the pace we're going, not wait on anything that we don't have to wait on.
Okay. Director Story.
Yeah, we've been waiting 5 years, Ted. I agree.
Yes.
Director Darnell.
I also agree with Ted and Sue. We should continue.
Okay. Good. Director Wiley Bowers.
Yes, I should agree that, I agree that we should continue on the path we're on right now.
Okay. Director Lentz.
Very definitely, I agree.
Okay, and Director Brashears, yes, my concern was when the board would reach a decision point, and since our decision point is several months away still, and hopefully we'll have a lot of more information at that time, I'm comfortable as well. So from the comments, I know the votes, but Robin, can you call the roll for the voting?
Yes, Diane Wiley Bowers,
Yes.
Edith Lynch,
Yes.
Sue Story,
Yes.
Ted Long,
Yes.
Kim Darnell,
Yes.
and Bruce Brashears.
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Okay. And I will relay that back to the Building Advisory Committee. I'm sure they'll be happy. We'll proceed ahead. Next item is a bar for agreement for a third-party collection agency.
Are you on the line, Kim? Oh, Kim. Well, then you get to listen to me talk about it. We currently use 2 different collection agencies for third-party collections. But oftentimes we have to wait. This way these other 2 are set up, we have to wait until the amount is owed is quite large. And so this particular vendor gives us an opportunity to begin the process sooner when the amount is smaller. I need to point out the caveat that we're also not looking to implement anything different during the current COVID crisis. This is to help setting us up for how we're going to do this later on after we get back to whatever the new normal is. But anyway, we would transfer this debt collection process for a minimum of 6 months, and then if they didn't do anything, we could always bring it back to ourselves or go to one of the other agencies. The fees they would charge, the collection agency would charge, are added to the member account. Anything they collect, we would forfeit those finance charges and late fees on the delinquent account to the new vendor, Excella. So that's really the only downside. One of the other things would be bringing back to the board for further discussion is this particular vendor also has in its toolbox the ability to affect property owners' credit rating, which is something that we've lacked for a while. So this gives us another tool in the collection toolbox. That's not being approved today, but it's something we intend to bring back for board consideration. So that's what I have for now. And if you need more information, go knock on Kim's door and tell her to get on the phone.
Okay, well, for the members' info, we were able during the executive session to have Kim answer a few of our questions about what the arrangement would be. So we have been briefed a little bit about it. So that's good. I don't know that we need. Did any director want to make a motion at this time?
I move that we approve the agreement for the third-party collection agency, Alexa Technologies, Inc. collections.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to.
I second it.
approve. Right, we heard you. Okay, Ted seconded. So a motion and a second to approve the collections with Alexa Technologies.
Excella.
Stella, sorry.
Not how it looks, but okay. Excella. Anyway, hopefully they won't be calling me. So let's go to any direct comments. Director Long.
No comments.
Okay, Director Story.
No, I think Kim filled us in. I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Okay, Director Darnell.
No comment.
Director Wiley Bowers.
Yes, Kim did fill us in and explained it, so, yeah.
Okay, Director Lentz.
No comment.
Director Brashares. My only comment would be that I think this board is in favor of generally stepping up and enhancing our collection, that's been a long time problem. So to the extent that adding this another tool will help us with that effort, I would be in favor of it too. So Robin, could you call the roll for a vote?
Diane Wiley Bowers,
Yes.
Edith Lynn,
Yes.
Sue Story,
Yes.
Ted Long,
Yes.
Kim Darnell,
Yes.
and Bruce Brashears.
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Okay, another tool in the toolbox for our staff. Beware to members that are considering whether to pay their assessment. Okay, our last bar for the day is a bar on the replacement of our fuel management system.
Right. So several years ago, I guess it was 2013, we contracted with a company, SCI Distribution, to put in a computerized fuel dispensing system for our vehicles and motorized fleet. It has never really worked well. Since I've been here, I know it's been a topic of discussion at least a dozen times, and I'm just now coming up on 12 months of employment. Lately, it hasn't been working at all. Even when it was working, it never really worked properly. It requires about $2,000 a year for maintenance costs, for licensing, and a software license. And it wasn't, in the long run, worth it. They've been very difficult to get them to provide service. So staff came to me a few weeks ago and said, we need to do something different. We have 4 different departments that are spending extra labor. Well, obviously, both maintenance teams, golf and regular grounds maintenance, patrol vehicles, our patrol staff is affected, as well as our accounting staff. So obviously, this thing is a labor time suck, time waste, and we need to do something different. This other option, the new Johnson Petroleum Fuelmaster product is out of the box, a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, we're not paying software license costs. In a matter of a couple of years, we would be saving money by going with the new vendor. So, staff recommendation and request is to approve this purchase of this new fuel management system, improvement amount not to exceed $20,000 for installation, purchase and installation of this new equipment. And that's what I've got.
Okay, and just for put a sense of how we're getting by now, what this would alleviate, we're using our golf.
Well, yeah, so the security team, so they don't have to leave the grounds, is fueling at the golf cart barn, where they've got a fuel tank. It's not a very large tank, and they're fueling their vehicles. The maintenance staff and other association vehicles are going down to the Shell station down the road a little bit and paying probably double what we would be able to purchase the fuel for, because we get it back at the wholesale price. But so there's a time waste of staff going down. There's a time waste because the patrol staff, when they get fuel, are required to write on a log the amount of fuel and vehicle information. So it just adds to the labor. And again, it's all paper now instead of being computerized. So it increases the amount of time and effort required by the accounting staff to be able to properly allocate that cost.
Okay, no, good explanation. Open for any motions.
I move that we approve the contract with Johnson Petroleum Construction, Inc., not to exceed $20,000 to replace the association's fuel management system.
Okay. Thank you. Any second?
I second it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Petroleum. Any comments, Director Long?
No, I think it needs to be done.
Director Story?
No, I agree. It's silly for them to have just the accounting office and the paper chase that they have. Just that alone is enough to purchase this.
Okay. Director Wiley Bowers?
Seems like a no-brainer. Yeah, absolutely. We need it.
Director Lentz?
I agree.
And Director Brashears, I concur with everything that was said and wonder where directors get their code.
Yeah, right.
No.
Oh, no. Continue to go to Shell, I guess. Okay, so we have a motion, a second, and we've had discussion. Robin, if you call the roll for a vote.
Diane Wiley Bowers,
Yes.
Edith Lynn,
Yes.
Sue Story,
Yes.
Ted Long,
Yes.
Kim Darnell,
Well, I got skipped over for comment, but yes.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say that.
Oh.
and Bruce Brashears.
Yes, and Kim, you can have 2 comments next time.
Thanks.
The motion is approved.
Well, good. It's kind of silly that we had such a beat-up system. I wasn't quite aware of that, so good to get that. And the next item is member comments. Gia Murphy, have we had any comments submitted during the meeting?
Yeah, actually I have one, and I have some additional information on a couple of other matters. So Darla McSweeney sent me an email a little while ago. She said, I have a comment thanks to our board and GM for an outstanding job. Thank you. So, thanks, Darla. We appreciate hearing that.
Thank you, Darla.
Thanks, Darla.
Yes, thank you.
Chipping stats. April pickups was 146. Calls for pickup was 168.
Wow.
Year to date, pickups was 472. Calls for pickup was 527. Year to date invoice paid, and I'm assuming that means through April. It doesn't say that, but it's 32,472 and 50 cents. So quite a lot of work going on there. Also wanted to point out, quick recap, so far on the litigation filed by Cindy Spears, we've spent just under $22,000 in attorney's fees. Again, that's not counting any staff time. That's not accounting any other expense related to that. That's just some of the preliminary stuff we've done so far. Also, recall expenses to date now total just over $14,000, about $2,000 of which is specific to the Hartman and some of the questions that were raised with the cease and desist letter. So these unnecessary expenses are ratcheting costs quite quickly. And that's all that I have.
Okay, we'll consider that an extension of your report. Thank you for that. Brings us to the end. So I thank everybody for joining us today. Shout out to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day tomorrow. And we'll adjourn the meeting at 12:07. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.